Hi, I'm Steve Walters, and this is Steve Harper, and we're with Straight Talk Investors Real Estate Academy, and I want to thank you for clicking on this video here. This video is going to show you some of the content that we're going to have on our upcoming classes here in Roseville, and it's going to show you what to do to lay a firm foundation with your real estate portfolio from here on out. And before we get started, Steve, why don't you just introduce yourself and tell them a little bit about your credentials and why you're qualified to teach these classes.
All right, well, along with being a co-founder, along with Steve Walters, of Straight Talk Real Estate Investment Academy, I've also been a broker for about 15 years. I've been an investor for about the same amount of time. I've been a paid consultant in multiple states and actually multiple countries at this point, and I've been able to be involved in real estate projects totaling well over $1 billion. I've certainly enjoyed that time, and I guess I have a problem with the qualification part of it. Here's the thing, and I'm just going to get right into the straight talk thing. Yes, I've been involved in a lot of projects, and I've helped people grow their wealth, and I've been involved in some projects that have made lots of money. And I guess I could sit here and talk about those, although I don't believe those are the experiences that I personally ever draw on to teach one of these classes. The experience I draw on is the time that I had to relinquish a property or sell it and actually take a checkbook out at the close of escrow to pay my portion of the deficit of an investment that I went into. And that one I can think of. There's one specific I was involved with in Tulsa, Oklahoma as an apartment building. And I lost money on that, and so did the real estate attorney and the CPAs that were my partners. And, can imagine, that's the experience that I draw on. That's what I believe I bring to the table when I'm teaching a class like this is, I'll draw on successes, of course, but moreover, I will draw on failures that I've either seen or been a part of. And I certainly don't mind talking about them. And if you come to these 4 classes, you're going to find out that I don't mind talking about those things. I'll talk about the good things too. But that's really where the experience comes in. I'm old school. The bumps, the bruises, the cuts along the way, that's what's given me my education. And that's the experience that I would like to pass on to folks that are coming to this class.
And that's what we can share.
Yep, exactly.
Sure. Well, let's go ahead and get into our classes that we're offering. And the first one is how to fund $1 million retirement account with $60,000 in a time period between 10 and 20 years or so. Okay. Why don't you give a little bit of detail about that?
Sure. That's the first of the series of 4 classes, and that one kind of builds a foundation, is what it does. It'll show an investment strategy that I prefer. Now, I don't believe there's any right or wrong strategy. I can give you examples of successes and failures of people that do buy and hold, of people that do flip, of people that have never sold anything in their life, of people that have everything's for sale from the moment they buy it. And I can tell you success stories and failure stories with every one of those. This one, I suppose there's a hybrid of buy and hold and flip strategy that I've seen a lot of folks do very well with. And that's kind of the strategy I show in here, although we do talk about buy and hold, and we also talk about flipping properties. But again, you've got an inherent risk involved in both of those methods as well, in all methods. It's also going to set a baseline of information of some basic tools that everyone should have going into investment real estate. And that's whether you're investing in homes, duplexes, storage facilities, hospitals. It doesn't matter what property type you're investing in. Everyone should have a toolbox, in my opinion. So we kind of go over the toolbox too. So this lays a great foundation for these first 4 classes that we're coming out with.
Perfect. And in the next class is a real meat and potatoes class called Wealth Building versus Cash Flow, and the relationship between those 2 types of investing. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, wealth building versus cash flow, and again, I'll illustrate this in the class, but I truly believe those are 2 different sides of the spectrum, and the gauge, if you will, or the speedometer is risk that points either towards wealth building or cash flow. And the risk is the relationship between wealth building and cash flow. Not saying that you can't have a cash flowing wealth building property. You can. But there's certainly a gauge of risk. And what I hope that participants take from this class is a method by which to really compare properties side by side with each other that may even be different property types from the risk standpoint. And again, another very important tool in any kind of investment, but in real estate is no exception, is having a method by gauging risk. I mean, really, that's what it's about, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then from there, we go even more in depth into the wealth building and value add aspect of real estate, because it's its own topic.
Yeah, we just felt like we needed more. We established, in wealth building versus cash flow, we established the risk. We've established a method by which to gauge the risk, a general method. There is no absolutes. And then what we really wanted to do in the wealth building class on itself, in the value add class, is to talk about all the different types, because there just wasn't enough time in the other class. We're going to spend 90 minutes devoted to looking at the wealth building opportunities, and there's really two reasons for that. Number one, just the wealth building or the value add side is tremendous with all the different ways you can do that. But along with that, the market that we're currently in is almost a perfect storm. Which, part of that is the financing, which we talk about in the fourth class, the final class. But, the other part of that is the value-added piece. When you look at the lending environment with the current marketplace and a lot of the value-add properties that are out there, which there's many value-add properties out there across the country. No matter what market you're looking in, there's some value-added opportunities there. We want to take and make sure that we give the participants the tools to go out and see value-added opportunities that we didn't even talk about in the class. And I believe that by attending this class, it's going to kind of, maybe some of the participants will have their eyes open to things that I may never have seen. And believe me, I'm getting surprised and learning something new every day. So there you go.
In these two classes, the wealth building versus cash flow and the wealth building, it's a real self-discovery process too, because you're going to find out, what you want in a property, what you don't want, what you're comfortable with your, your risk tolerance. And so that's probably going to be one of the most important things, wouldn't you say?
I would agree. Yeah.
Absolutely. So our last class is funding and financing, because real estate, if you don't have the money or you can't find the financing, you can't really do much. So that's why we created this class. Why don't you go into detail on that?
Well, and the other reason we created this class is because there's a lot of late night TV that'll tell you that you can do it with no money down and no credit and no problem and no worries, and you can spend it in escrow. And I'm here to tell you that, probably you can't. If you're planning to come to any of these classes with the idea that I am going to stand up there and show you all the get-rich-quick ideas and waive escrow checks and all of that kind of stuff, I'm just not going to do it. First of all, I don't believe in it, and second of all, it's just not true. Can you make money in quicker ways in real estate? Sure, you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to find a cycle that takes place. All of those things are true, but with everything comes the risk and the work. And there's also work involved. With the funding part, we want to go through the current lending market, which again I believe is the best lending environment I've so far seen in my life. Not just my career, but my life. I'm 44 years old, and we've not been in a lending environment like this in 44 years, I can tell you for sure. I also believe that we're not going to see this good of a lending environment for the remainder of my life. Hopefully I'll live to be 120, that's my plan. But I'm betting against that. I'd have to say we're not going to see this good of a lending market. And there's a window of opportunity. Aside from that window of opportunity, there's also some fundamentally very good methods by which you can acquire financing and funding and fund a project that you otherwise didn't know you could do. So we're going to look at some of those outside-the-box thought processes. And again, outside the box is just how real estate works a lot of the time. And I believe we're going to touch on investing with retirement funds, IRAs, 401ks, those kinds of things, as well as traditional funding, as well as a lot of the non-traditional funding. Very, very interactive on the class, and again, we've certainly put together the work to put together a good program, so I believe everyone's going to take something out of it.
Perfect. And again, the classes start March 14th, which is a Thursday, and it's going to be from 6 to 7:30 p.m. And from 3 more Thursdays after that to finish the series, so March 21st, March 28th, and April 4th will be the last one. They're going to be held in Roseville, California, right here in the Keller Williams Realty Building, which is right by the Galleria in Roseville, if you don't know. The classes are going to be $97 for the entire series. And what we're going to do is we're going to offer a special discount to the first 25 attendees who go ahead and sign up right now for taking action. And we're going to cut it in half to $49, or about half.
That's about half. Yeah,
that's about half.
$49 for all 4 classes. And we can't forget to tell Straight Talk. We're going to coin it as the Straight Talk Guarantee. There you go.
That's right.
I've done these classes at different locations for many years. I've not done these particular classes, but I have been able to teach classes. And in doing it, I've always offered an unconditional money-back guarantee or mindset or thought process. And here's how mine works. Come to the first class or 2 in the series. If you decide that it's just not for you, grab one of us, say, hey, you know what, this isn't for me. I don't really care for bald-headed people, because I am bald. So I want my money back. And my answer to that is always going to be, that's fine, and we're going to get you your money back. I don't want anyone feeling like they didn't get anything out of it. And maybe it's just that you had a different idea or concept of what the class was going to be. If that's the case, that's fantastic. We'll get you your money back. I will tell you, I've not had many people, actually, I think I've had anyone take me up on it, but I've always offered it. And I will always honor it. So there you go.
Perfect. Well, if you want to register for the classes, all you have to do is click on the link below. You'll see the register page, so just go ahead and fill out your information. And we look forward to seeing you March 14th at 6 p.m.
I'll see you there.
Thank you.